It's on.
It's on.
Boo. Gotcha.
Dickie, Becky, and Janice.
No, I may not. I won't because
Like to ask everybody to stand for Pledge of Allegiance and prayer, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please bow your heads, please. Well, Father, we just ask for your forgiveness, Lord, of anything that I've done in the last day, Lord, and just ask that you please be with all of us tonight as we're doing the taxpayers' business as well as yours, Lord. We just ask for that wisdom and knowledge to be poured out upon us to do what's pleasing for them. We also ask that you please be with all emergency personnel, whether it's law, fire, EMS, just give them that protection that they need to do their job and give them that wisdom to handle the problems that's before them, Lord. We ask that you please be with all those that's in Morgan County, that we have a blessing just being able to live here, Lord. And we thank you for that. We ask that you keep all of them safe. We ask it all in Jesus' precious name, our Lord and our Savior. Amen. First order of business, May 5th minutes. I know I wasn't here for family matters, but I'd entertain a motion on the minutes that Deb presented.
Also move.
second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I abstain. Motion carries 2-0. Knowledge that we did receive the clerk's report. Eddie paving bids award.
Hi, guys, I got this one.
You want to get the clerk's report? Oh, you just acknowledged it?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Got it.
And I just, I'd like to acknowledge that for the first time in our past several meetings, we must not be evicting or doing something that we don't have a full house with pitchforks. It's like, what is going on?
It's not over
Three
yet.
nice ladies.
Yeah. Well, I know there's trouble in the front row, but I'm used to having a packed house in trouble.
All right.
Hi, guys. So at the last meeting, we received 4 bids for our paving projects. Those totals ranged from $1.13 million to $1.49 million. We did separate these into 7 different groups to give contractors the best shot at getting their own little piece of the project instead of the whole pie. As it shook out, though, Howard Companies was the low bidder on the entire project in the amount of $1,130,440.55. I have tabulated all of the bid tabs and certified Howard's bid. They did submit everything in accordance with the specs, so I'm asking for your approval to award this project to Howard Companies.
Any questions for Justin?
No, I really appreciate seeing all the reports, and I was interested in, where is Howard from?
They're up off Kentucky Avenue.
Where?
Kentucky Avenue in Indianapolis.
Okay, I noticed most of their projects are north of here, but I'm glad to have them down here getting in the bid, so.
Yep, they actually had a project with us last year. We had some minor hiccups,
okay.
but they've come, around to fixing everything, so shouldn't have any issues, so.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Could you educate or try to educate a non-engineer type of person that there seem to be some pretty big discrepancies within the bids? And I would think that they'd be a little bit tighter. Is there, in your professional opinion, why do you think that this one was so much lower than some of the other ones?
Honestly, I took a look at the bid prices. I just think Howard's hungrier for the work right now, to be honest with you. I didn't really see, there was a spread in the cost, as you said, but it wasn't anything that I would call out of the normal, you know? Maybe Milestone, E&B, and the other bidders just have more on their plate, you know, and they're looking to fill in, whereas Howard, you know, they're more hungry for it, I would say, so. But I'm not seeing anything wrong with the pricing to give me pause to not award it or anything like that, so. The winning bid was $1,130,440.55. Yeah.
Chump change for a councilwoman.
There's no further questions. I'd entertain a motion on the paving bids.
I'll move that we accept the lowest bid from Howard Asphalt LLC, doing business as Howard Companies.
We got a motion by Mr. Collier to
Second.
award the bid by Howard Company. Mr. Adams, second. Any further questions from the board or from the audience? Not hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I know we have a petition to vacate an alley over in the Eminence area. I know me and Rich have both dealt with this, and I see the sheriff's not even here, but it's, I know you've got some neighbors over there fighting and everything, and I'd like to table it,
Hey, Kenny?
right now myself, unless you want to address it, Josh.
Yeah, they're not actually on the agenda to vacate tonight. They just wanted to make sure they get their public notices set. So they're asking for approval to be on your calendar for 7/6/16. And if you guys are fine with them coming that date, Deb will let them know. And then, because they have to give notice to neighbors and all that kind of information.
It's our regular meeting, right, Josh?
Yeah, it's a regular meeting.
I'm fine with that myself.
So that was really all we needed from you tonight to make sure you guys were good.
Do we need a motion? I'll just move that we go ahead and put it on the agenda for that night.
Got a
Second.
motion, second by Mr. Collier. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Regroup agreement, EMA. Mrs. Abby. Oop.
Yeah, we got a
Oh, did
reserve
I
in
sk-
liquidity.
I did skip one, Linda. I'm sorry, Abby. Yes. But I did make a note here, Deb, Linda, beside the purple, but
He just didn't want to hear from me tonight. So Josh and Deb and I recently met to go over the reserve and liquidity policy and make sure that we are compliant. And I am happy to report that we are compliant in both our reserves and our liquidity.
you really don't even need a motion on that. It's just information, right? I wouldn't think so.
You can accept it.
Move to accept.
Okay. Got a motion by Mr. Adams to accept the reserve liquidity policy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Collier. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 3-0. Sorry about
I'm
that,
gonna
Linda.
put a little public comment on that. We have very conscientious, we are a very conscientious county. We always have been. There has been some accusations that we at the county levels need to tighten our belts. You can only tighten so much before you can't breathe. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you for the report.
Abby. Mrs. Abby, I am so sorry.
Either or, it's okay. Good evening. I wanted to bring before you guys tonight, we got a contract from a company called Regroup. This is a mass notification software. Currently, we utilize WINS, which is the wireless emergency notification system. We pay yearly $7,500 for that program that allows us to notify the public when there are severe weather threats or other needed information from the county to the public. There are also some other companies that utilize it. You know, HR uses it, and a few other water companies use it to notify people of boil water orders. So Regroup does the same thing. However, they have a few more advantages. They make it a little bit easier to send those messages to people. They are also only $5,500 a year. With WINS, we were preparing to have to increase our yearly rate because we have signed up almost all of the users that we have capacity to sign up under the current payment process. With Regroup, that $5,500 covers a sign up for every single person in the county. So we currently have a population just over 76,000. That means we have around 76,000 licenses that we can use. We can have 76,000 people signed up and save a significant amount of money when we start to look at what that number of licensing would look like with the current user. So we're just requesting permission to sign that contract. They will be giving us the next 7 months free so that we can seamlessly transition and get everybody moved over. Our subscribers won't see any interruption in service or anything like that. And then we'll start implementing that payment at the start of the year of 2026.
Any questions for Abby?
No.
So the finances is that where it's a lower amount?
Correct. Yeah, we'll be saving $2,000 a year, at least.
And then, just a point of interest that, one of my nerdy hobbies is to follow weather. And I thought about poor Eddie and the council and all of us. They were saying that the polar vortex has shifted and Tornado Alley has now moved further east to where everyone associated Dorothy and Kansas and Oklahoma. It has now shifted more east to the Missouri, Illinois, which naturally increases the number of severe storms that they're anticipating. And they don't know, this was a whole meteorologist writing all this. They don't know how long, if it'll shift back or if it's here to stay for decades. They don't know. But I thought it was interesting if you look at the tornado they went through a month ago through, I want to say Avon, Brownsburg, north side of Indy. And then you see the tornado that this last week went through Bloomington, Brown County. We've been very fortunate.
Yeah, we are currently.
And so I'm all for notification because people need, it used to be they would get mad because the sirens would go off and there'd be no tornado and then they would start ignoring the sirens. They probably shouldn't do that.
Right, yeah, year over year, we have exceeded the year prior's tornado average. So this year, it's mid-May, and we're already over the number of tornadoes that we had in 2024. So certain places are starting to put Indiana in that tornado alley. It won't be long before we're formally included in that, but it is definitely creating a lot more need and increasing capabilities for EMA, both in Morgan County and just throughout the state.
And again, as we tighten our belt, we tighten and still provide great services on, notifying people in cases of emergencies. In my opinion, not a waste of money. Therefore, I'll make the motion that we accept the new notification alerting program.
We got a motion, I'll second the motion. Any further questions from the board or from the audience? Not hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Resolution 25-5-19, I believe you're covering the Board of Health.
Yes, the resolution for Addicts Wake. So the opioid committee, if you all remember, we came before you guys at your last meeting with a list of recommendations for funding, which you guys approved. There's 2 new items we want to add to that right now. The first is this resolution, followed by an ordinance, and I'll talk about the ordinance first, so it makes more sense for this resolution. But just like we did with ARPA, we put some internal controls in place, we put some process in place at the suggestion of State Board of Accounts a few years ago so that it's really clear how these types of dedicated funds should be spent. And so the ordinance that we have before you guys for first reading lays out that the commissioners need to do the contracting and the commissioners need to sign claims before auditor's office will process them. Just putting some basic criteria into place. So that comes back to this resolution. One of the things that the opioid task force recommended was the purchase of a license for this Addicts Wake documentary series to be able to show to the public, law enforcement, schools, all sorts of different things in conjunction with the Kindred Foundation. We didn't put this in the ordinance last week because that was really, those were the monies that were being granted to organizations, and this isn't to an organization so much as for a product. So we wanted to pull this one out separately. And so, if you guys are inclined to take action this evening, we have this resolution for this particular Addicts Wake documentary. And then we have this ordinance up for first reading on the actual process of using the opioid funds.
Myself, I'm fine with both of them.
Where, I know this is around the documentary. How do we make it available?
The Kendrick Foundation and Keeley will be leading the charge on that. They will work and make
They're
sure.
the ones that are going to do it, huh?
Yeah, they're the ones who are going to do it.
Okay.
400, or is it?
Yeah, I'm anxious to see it. I think we all need to see it. And I think there needs to be public outcry of the problem that's been created by
Yeah.
this.
How much is it?
Yeah. Well, I'll move to go ahead and approve this resolution. Do we need a,
Hang on.
oh, I'm sorry.
I think there's a Scrivener's error in your whereas clause.
Sorry, what?
Warren County is scheduled to receive restricted or abatement funds in the total amount in excess of,
Yeah, that's right, in excess of $4 million. Those will be the long-term
million.
settlement
$4
funds we
million.
get over the next, there's about 16
It's
years
over
left.
several years.
And it'll likely continue to climb.
if you look, the numbers are off. And unrestricted funds in the total amount of excess of
Oh, yeah, that's too many zeros.
Yes.
$1,200,000.
There you go.
So get rid of that, move that.
Oh, they got an extra zero in there, didn't they?
And see, most people don't understand that they say zero doesn't mean anything, but it does when it's a placeholder.
Yeah. You know,
So
ma-
with the corrections to the resolution in front of us for Resolution 2025-5-19, you made a motion to accept
Yes.
based upon the excess of
Hey.
$4 million and the unrestricted funds in the total amount of excess of $1.2 million? Is that right?
That would work.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I wasn't counting zeros. Math guys are amazing. I'm going to bring my taxes down to you next time.
I'll help you.
All right.
Motion and a second, doing the ordinance only, correct?
It is a resolution or just,
Well, the resolution's
Doing
listed
the
first.
resolution, Don, sorry.
yes, just a resolution. It should be.
And,
Okay.
and I'll let you vote on the resolution first.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye. The resolution passes.
So the resolution does, we still have an ordinance.
Yeah,
have an
and you
ordinance.
can just accept it for first reading. It's not urgent. We don't need action tonight unless you're so inclined to take action. But you can just.
Why would we change our vote in the next 2 weeks? What is there that I'm not
you-
understanding?
You shouldn't. But you don't have to accept it on first reading tonight if you don't want to, that's my point.
Trying to make it easier for you because you would have to make the motion first to suspend the rules in order to approve it on the first reading and then make the motion to approve it. I got your zeros.
Entertain a
Well, I'll make
motion.
a motion that we accept ordinance number 2025-6 and suspend the rules that calls for a second reading and do it all in one reading.
Got a motion on the floor to approve ordinance number 2025-6 and to suspend the rules and do it all in one motion. I'll second the motion. Any further questions from the board or from the audience? Not hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, legal counsel, on the proper way to suspend the rules.
That's okay, you don't have to do it the right way.
I'm smart enough to do it your way because I'd never hear the end of it.
Mr. Justin
All right, guys. So the first thing I have for you, or the next thing I have for you, rather, is the NDOT HSIP construction contract. So over the last several meetings, I've brought several contracts to you between NDOT and ourselves, VS Engineering, who's our consultant. We are just now getting the design of these projects going, but NDOT has felt inclined to get us our contract to allocate our federal funds ahead of time for this 2027 letting. So all this contract does is allocate the funds listed on the summary table on the sheet in the packet I gave you to us to build it in construction in 27. So if you feel inclined and you would like to approve this, we will have construction funds to build our projects.
Any questions for Justin?
These are on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects?
Yes.
I don't know why we'd hold them up. I'd make the motion that we accept the construction contract as presented.
Second?
Got a motion and a second to approve the contract as presented with NDOT on the Highway Safety Improvement Program. All those in, well, any further questions from the board or from the audience? Not hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. The next item is our Bridge 40 easement and encroachment agreements. So Bridge 40 is actually going to be a brand-new structure. Currently, we have small structure 1251, which is located on Leonard Road. It was shut down last January to an emergency condition that the bridge was in. We have since gone through the design process. Hydraulic analysis shows that it needs to be upsized to a bridge, so that calls for the new name of the project. And we ran into a scenario out there. If you guys can take a look at the portion of the plan sheet I included in your packets. So in the southwest quadrant of the project, Mr. John Givens owns a parcel that we had to acquire some right-of-way from. He has an existing septic mound that is encroaching into the area that we are acquiring as right-of-way for the project. The encroachment is not so severe that we thought it pertinent to leave this portion of the mound in the right-of-way instead of spending tens of thousands of dollars to relocate this mound back onto private property. So what we have before us is an easement giving Mr. Givens the land to have his septic mound stay in place, and then also an encroachment agreement just absolving the county of any kind of liability if this septic mound were ever to be damaged in the future, whether that's from a car running off the road or from our contractor out on the job site while they're building the bridge. So are there any questions?
He agreed to that?
He signed it.
Yeah, he's already signed it.
But he did.
It'd be an awful hard time trying to ever get a new septic permit to move portion of that mound anyway. I mean, being in a floodway
As I
right
say,
there.
right there next to the creek. and-
Right, and all we're really doing is grading down from our embankment to meet the toe of the existing septic mound, so I really didn't see a need to, spend the extra money to move it.
Did he have a permit to do that?
I didn't ask for
Grandfathered
that,
in,
I'm
I'm
not
sure.
sure.
I'm just curious. I don't know how that affects this.
Shouldn't affect it.
I know he beat me up in first grade in church camp, and I just don't want to get him mad at me again.
Please don't hold that over his head, I'd like to
Yeah.
build a bridge.
Givens is a good guy. I went, played ball with him and grew all the way through school with him. So if he's in agreement, then I don't have a problem with it. Makes sense to me.
Entertain a motion then.
So moved that
Second.
we accept this newly design of Bridge 40 and the negotiations.
And if I could real quick, do we need two motions, one for the easement and one for the encroachment agreement? Or can we all wrap this in one?
Well, I could tell you that I always prefer that we do the motions separately, but Mr. Collier doesn't seem to be listening to me tonight, so.
Not trying to get him in trouble, just trying to do this.
He's gonna do what he's gonna do.
At the legal advice, I would separate those into two motions.
Thank you.
I'll approve or second. 1 and 2.
We Got a motion on the floor to do both of them, separating them. 1 and 2 by Mr. Collier, second by Mr. Adams. All those, any further questions from the board or from the audience? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. Okay, so next we have is a maintenance bond for Allison Estates. That's a newer subdivision to the county off of Ferguson Road up in District 3. We have a 2-year maintenance bond that has expired for the stone base, asphalt binder, concrete curbs of Phase 1. This is bond 0814343 in the amount of $52,037. We have made the inspections of these items in that subdivision. They are still in good working order from when they were constructed over 2 years ago, so we do recommend release of this bond.
Any questions for Justin on that? Not, I'd entertain a motion to release the maintenance bond on Allison Estates, Section 1.
So move.
Got a motion by Mr. Adams, I'll second. Any further questions from the board or from the audience? I don't see any of them here. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. And the next bonds we have are for the North Madison Crossing subdivision. Sections 2A and 2B were surfaced with asphalt HMA around 2 years ago. Pyatt Builders submitted bond 0814350 in the amount of $31,465.25. We have made our inspections of that surface asphalt in that subdivision and have found it to be in good condition, so I do recommend release of this maintenance bond.
I'll go ahead and move that, but I have a question, just simple. How long do we normally wait?
Could you expand on that?
Yeah, for the bond to, if there's a,
So,
Yeah.
we have a 2-year maintenance bond.
2 years?
So once we give final approval or inspection, once it's constructed.
Right.
They will enact this 2-year bond. As part of the highway department, we track when these bonds
And
expire.
then you go back and
And we
get
go
it.
out prior to the expiration to check out everything. And then it is up to the developer to ask us to release it. We don't proactively release it.
Okay, got it. I didn't know how that procedure worked. I should know that, but didn't. So,
Well, it's just, sometimes you see a little bit of a lag, and that's just because they didn't catch that the 2 years was up until,
Yeah.
they got, they're looking for more money more
Okay.
bonds, so.
Okay.
Harder and harder to even get them bonds.
Mm-hmm.
Entertain a motion on this. We don't have any other questions.
We move that we release the maintenance bond.
A motion by Mr. Adams to release maintenance bond in North Madison Crossing, Section 2A and 2B. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Collier. Any further questions from the board or the audience?
Nope.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 3-0. Couple more, Justin.
Thank you, yes, and I have some handouts for these next 2 items. I apologize, I didn't get these into the packet. We've been working on these up until Friday.
Yes, we got them all.
Okay, so the first one here is Bridge 68 change order. So back in December of last year, I brought before you an agreement between the county and Morgan County Rural Water. They have a water main out on our project that is in conflict with our proposed bridge. Due to the water company being within easement, their relocation efforts are reimbursable by the county. As part of that agreement, Morgan County Rural Water and their engineer laid out some probable costs. Those probable costs are broken down on the summary sheet I've given you guys. Basically, we can split that into 2 categories. One would be engineering costs and surveying costs. The other would be construction. After we approved that agreement with Morgan County Rural Water, that gave them the authority to then move forward with the design of their relocation plan and then send it out for quotes for contractors to bid on the project. After they did that, their construction low bid came in quite a bit higher than the initial estimate in the agreement. Their initial estimate was $215,000. The final construction cost of the low bidder was $264,434. We really need, as this is a county project, they are moving their water main to accommodate our project. So we should bear these extra costs. As much as I don't like paying above and beyond what was originally in this contract or agreement, the low bid is the low bid. I worked with the water company. We actually altered the alignment of the water main to make it more efficient on our end. Had we left it how it was originally conceptualized, we'd be looking at a $300,000 plus construction cost. We actually made some savings. It was due to, not to get too technical, but water mains are live. You can wet tap them, you can shut them down, you can tap them to them that way. We did some, finagling around with the water company to make it as efficient on the county as possible, and we still ended up with a cost overrun. But in order for our project to move forward, we need to approve this additional cost to the contract. And I do have this figured into our overall project budget, so I do, for change orders, if you will. So luckily, I do not have to go to the council and ask for an additional appropriation for this. We can already cover this within our existing budget. So with this change order, there are a few different items for approval that I will need. The first is to approve Morgan County Rural Water to contract with C&HM Excavating to perform the water main work in accordance with their bid, which I have reviewed and I'm okay with. Approval to proceed with the work as shown on the construction plans titled Water Main Relocation of Ballinger Road over Goose Creek, dated 4/16/2025. And the reason that is in there is because, as I said, we did make those alignment tweaks to make it more efficient than what the original agreement showed. So we're just covering our base that it is revised. Also, the approval to create and execute a change order to increase the county share of the project cost from $251,380.50 to $280,755.57. And then also authorization to let the work begin. So I know that was a mouthful. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about this?
On the approval of the change order, the dollar figures go from what to what?
Sorry, I have $251,380.50 to $280,755.57. Does that not match what I have?
It's in your packet, Brian.
I'm sorry, that last number is wrong.
I'm just trying to write down the
Yep.
3 things to put in this motion.
So,
4 things.
there are 4.
Here
yes.
you go. Just use this one right here for you, sir. Make it easy on you.
Yep. And if I could, I did realize there is an error in that number. So this middle number on the bottom table is the correct final change order number. That's $297,576.57.
I don't like it, but I mean, things happen like that.
Right, so.
You don't see any other expense coming up on, I mean, we've been messing with this for years. I know.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, yeah. We broke ground
About
out
like
there.
that.
When we open this bridge, I really want to have a ribbon cutting, and I'll pay for it out of my own pocket. This bridge has been on this up here since I became a commissioner.
Monroe Bridge was the same way. It took years.
With that, I'll make a motion that we approve allowing Morgan County Rural Water to contract with CH&M Excavating to perform the water main relocation work, approve to proceed with the work as shown on construction plans titled, quote, Water Main Relocation Ballinger Road over Goose Creek, unquote, dated 4/16/2025 and signed and sealed by R. Derek Wiggins on behalf of Midwestern Engineers, Inc., approved to create and execute a change order to increase the county share of the project cost from $251,380.50 to $280,755.57.
Correction.
$279,576.57, Brian.
$97,000.
Or 97, you're
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Sorry.
Tried. So the 297?
That is correct.
I'll amend my verbiage to reflect going to 297, 576 and 57 cents.
57 cents? Okay, I thought it was 97. You said,
57.
sorry.
Yep.
And to authorize the relocation work to begin.
I'll second
Clear as
that.
mud. We got a motion by Mr. Collier, second by Mr. Adams. Any further questions from the board or the audience? Not hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much. You got one more, Justin, it looks like.
Yes, thank you. So we have a bridge, Bridge 94. It's out on Hall Road. Someone ran into the bridge railing and approach guardrail on it. Pretty much took out the whole span of guardrail on the east side of this bridge. So what we have before you is a quote from CTEC Corporation to repair that railing. I did request a quote from about 6 different contractors who regularly bid on our bridge work within Morgan County, and CTEC was the only contractor to give us a quote back. I have a suspicion that's due to the guardrail aspect of this project. That's a pretty specialized line of work that most general contractors don't try to typically get in. This quote that is before you is in the amount of $38,250. However, I did reach out to Mr. Swanger, who is their estimator for CTEC this afternoon. The price that they've provided for our bridge deck patching at 20 square feet at $500 a square foot is awfully high. I asked if he would be okay if we were to remove that from our quote and attempt to do that in-house at a much cheaper rate. He was amenable to that. So if we approve this quote, I would like to amend it that we are going to strike line number 70 in the amount of $10,000 from this quote and do this in-house cheaper. So, or quote it. I need to talk to Eddie about it, but we're going to try to get it cheaper. So.
Well, thank you for helping out a little, I guess. I would move that we approve the recommendations for county engineer and in this project to replace the guardrail.
Thank you.
Got a motion on the floor to go ahead and replace the guardrail on Bridge
94.
94. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Collier. Any further questions from the board or from the audience? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0, and thank you, Eddie.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Brian, I'm glad you're, I'm sorry, Commissioner Collier, I'm glad you're a lot better with the zeros than like the 7s, 9s, and 5s.
Placeholders. And you guys, I'll give myself credit, and I will warn everybody, I get it, you worked on it till the last minute, but I didn't even have those 2 pages. So I was going off what I was hearing.
Good job.
Huh?
Catch.
I know there was a Timpan Lane and other business, as well as a Barrett Law. I'd like further time to talk about that. I talked to Justin and Eddie today about it. I talked to Josh just briefly, but I know you guys discussed that and tabled it last meeting. I just want some time to look at that myself a little deeper.
Would you like to see that tabled again for another meeting? I'll move that we table Timpan Lane.
I'm getting behind myself on my agenda. Before we go that way, don't we have to deal with the insurance renewal?
I got that totally marked out. I do have my packet here, though. Sorry, that, Josh.
Technically, if the chairman doesn't want to deal with it, I guess we just skip it. The power of being the
No,
chair.
I had it marked up for some reason. I am sorry, Josh, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So we received kind of the last minute, Travelers just got us finalized numbers today. I think it threw them off that our second meeting so early in the month. We switched back to Travelers a few years ago from Liberty. If you guys remember, we had a pretty bad experience there. Just employees were very unhappy. It wasn't a good firm to work with. We've been very pleased with Travelers, but we are seeing some increases this year. A couple different areas. First, in property and equipment, that's going up. That piece of it, which is not that big in the overall scheme of it, but that piece went up just shy of 17%. That's mostly driven by increases in inflation and building expenses. Our biggest line item, which is our liability, saw an increase of about 9%. Our run loss reports help drive some of that. Automobile accidents are something we really need to get a better hold on. Workers' comp went up, but that one went up largely because we have been underreported, and so we pay for it on the back end with an audit anyways, and so now we actually got it to where it needs to be. And cybersecurity went down about 2%, which I was really surprised to see. So anyways, for a total.
Sounds like we got hacked.
Maybe we did. It's a total annual premium increase of 11.4%. A big piece of that, like I said, is the workers' comp, which we were paying for on the back end anyways. And that puts this year's total annual premium at $1,324,793.37. I am very pleased with Travelers. I think we should move forward with this. If you guys remember, every few years, we will shop this to other providers. The market seems to be consolidating, and so those players are getting fewer and fewer. But I do think next year we probably ought to go ahead and look at shopping it around to see if Travelers is still staying competitive or not.
Any questions for Josh on our renewal?
No question, just a remark. I never have had so much good information from an insurance company as Travelers providing. Maybe they change a policy, but seems like I get reports all the time from somebody reporting on what happened.
They do a good job, especially with
They did a
risk control.
fantastic job, and I'm very pleased to see that happen. I would also like to see if we can find a way to get rid of deer, or as soon as we hit one, take it down to the jail and let those boys clean it and eat it. But I don't think that'd be real popular. But I forget that part, I just don't. I know there are about 5 daggone deer.
With Senate Bill 1, we have to cut costs somewhere. We're gonna get alternative food sources.
Oh, shoot.
But outside, I'm not trying to be light about that. I can see that we've had some increases, and we've got some better information, things that we haven't utilized before. And do we need to review this, or do we need to approve this?
We need to approve it.
You need to approve it or have a special meeting, because coverage will be up 5/31.
Well, I'd
Or
just
we'll
go
be
ahead,
without coverage.
I'd just soon have the approval.
Last year, you guys, just because there's so many documents that need signed, when you guys did your motion, you gave me the authority to sign. If you guys want to do that again, that's great. If one of you wants to be available, that's great too.
Entertain a motion.
Well, I move to approve. I think that we've got the best service we can get, we've had, and I think we proceed to go ahead and renew.
Within your motion, sir, would you like
Sure.
to give Mr. Messmer permission to sign when all the renewal documents come in?
I would do that.
That'd be awesome. Then I would second that motion.
We got a motion by Mr. Adams to renew the traveler policy in the amount of $1,324,776,793.37, with the stipulation added that Josh Messner be the signature on that. We got a first and a second. Any further questions from the board? Or from the audience? Not hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries
I'd
3-0.
like to make a point with Senate Bill 1 coming up and all the frivolous spending that we do. This is 11.41% increase. I just don't understand how we're supposed to control that.
Oh, bless you.
Huh? What's that? Deer meat?
Eat more deer.
Down to Templin again, and the Barrett Law. You got two of them there.
They weren't on the template, on the posted one.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. For the good of the county, Mr. Adams.
Well, actually, the time capsule needs to be discussed.
Oh, sorry, I do have a letter from Patty, but we got 3 ladies signed up. Vicki, you're the first one. Patty told us this morning that Becky was gonna be here, so, but I see all 3 of you is here and signed up, so I figured we'd let you all have a chance.
I think it's very important that we do open it on the date it says. It's for 50 years. I was 8 years old. I was there. I did truly look really hard for my picture of me being down there. I could not find it. But my mother purchased an envelope. She put things in there for me and my brother. I feel it needs to be open. In 50 years from now or whatever, I won't be here. And who's gonna take care of that? It's something my mom did for me and my brother. I truly feel it needs to be open. It does, I
Be
found it
open,
over at the library.
Becky, be
Now?
open now or be
Or
open a
next
year
year?
from now?
On July 4th of 2026.
Okay.
I
And
have
I
talked
agree
with some of the
there.
people from the History Museum. If we have to dig it up early, they'll gladly keep it over there. I know there might be some other places here in town we can keep it, and then open it at some point, somewhere to where we can all be there.
And I like that idea. I think it ought to stay sealed up till it's time.
Yeah. Then just basically, I know these photos aren't very good, but over there on the ground, it says it's to be open July 4th of 2026. That's what the monument they made for us was, they
But what-
did it at a discounted rate.
I'm sorry, but
Pardon?
you, what would you like to, we have to dig it up because of this construction. What would you like to see done with it?
If you have to dig it up before that date, which I know we do, in my opinion, I like to see it in the History Museum. I
See
know
why?
there's-
In the
In
History
the
Museum?
History Museum, right
Yeah,
across
I
the
mean,
road.
but unopened?
Yeah, until
Yes.
July.
All
we
right,
don't
that'd be
open it
fine.
until July
I just
4th of 2026.
wanted to see what would, since we said we'd do it in 50 years, and we can wait till July of 2026 and open it up, that'd be
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
I totally agree. I think it should be the 50 thing. The only thing I don't know if we put an Apple tag on it, and I'm not being funny. I mean, could you imagine the grief that we would get if it disappeared?
Yeah.
And that's the only thing. It needs to have some type of secured mechanism that somebody, and I,
Put it down H&R Block, that's got some good security.
you'd have 30 seconds to get it out.
Does anyone know the dimensions of the?
Do you know how big it was, how big it
No,
is?
I don't. I have a photo. I don't remember how big it is. And like I said, these were off the microfilm. It's not, I don't think it's very big at all. You can see the opening. It goes right down in between those two pieces of wood.
Okay.
And I think if we do it at a later
cool.
time on that date and not at our
Not
ribbon
there.
cutting, we can concentrate on the celebration of opening up the Judicial Center and then come back a year later and celebrate the 50-year capsule. And we may end up opening that here anyway, a year later.
Well, we like
Who are
celebrating.
who's in charge of coordinating the opening of that time capsule?
Us?
It does talk about the commissioners in here. I'd have to double check.
Well, they put it on our property, so I assumed it would be our responsibility. Well, I think we can probably just go ahead and say, we're going to, we have to take it up, and that we will, if it says 2026, July the 4th, that's when we'll do it. All right?
Thank you.
And then,
I think let the History Museum,
I think the
his-
History Museum should store it and take the lead on it, and then the commissioners will help the History Museum to make sure that, to promote the opening of the time capsule.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can do that.
Thank
Now,
you.
there's one other thing that I'd like to mention here is that we're going to be putting one in this or the new building, and I don't know the dimensions on it, but I'd like for you ladies and the people in the committee to try to decide what goes in that and how long. So that needs to be discussed.
And there's not much time. If you're planning on putting that in on July 2nd.
Well, I don't know if we'll put it in there or not, but we, we want to put something in there. What Josh did,
Another capsule.
we have any idea of when they want that put in?
It's not part of the project really, other than it's there. Whenever you guys decide you want to do it, it's perfect.
Well, it makes sense if you did it on the opening of the building, and then, I don't know why you wouldn't go
How big
100
is
years.
that, do you know?
It's not very big. I asked him to get some dimensions. I want to say it's like less than 12 inches cubed.
An 8 by 12?
I think it's May 19th. Oh, no, that's today's date.
No, I don't. But I agree with you, it should be something maybe with the Indiana 250. So,
Well, they've got the July 4th of 2026 all over this letter.
that's what I'm seeing too.
that'd be appropriate. Okay, that'd be, we might even be able to incorporate, well, no, you're going to do this one in 2026, correct? We could maybe do the other one then. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
So that, for clarification, are you thinking we'll start our 100 years a year
26.
on July 4th of 2026 when we finish the 50 years? That would give us a year to do it and would be much more thought out and less throw stuff in a box and forget about it and don't
Right.
worry about it because you won't be here when we open it back up. I like that idea. To give us a year to plan and promote it, and people can submit ideas of what to put in, and then we'll get the dimensions of what we're putting in there.
Yeah, it might have to be, and it could be condensed into some form of
Electronic, like
electronic,
digital.
right. Of course, I hope they still have electric in those days.
Well,
In 100
and,
years.
and I believe I heard Mr. Hale suggest that you be in charge of that, Mr. Adams.
Well, I can get it started.
I don't have a problem with it.
These ladies can, they'll be good too.
Entertain a motion on that. I think there ought to be a motion on this. What we're gonna do with the one that's gonna be, being taken out of the ground.
Okay, here's the motion, if I can put it together, and correct me if I'm wrong. Let's go ahead and I move that we, due to the circumstances of having to remove the 76 time capsule, that we wait until we remove it as we have to, and that we put in the care of the Historical Society, or the History Museum, unopened, and that it be opened then on July the 4th of 2026, along with a reestablishment of another time capsule that will be put in Morgan Hall. And I will say to be determined on how long we leave it there. How's that? And we can discuss it. Does that work? That's sensible enough? Or it's in a wall in Morgan Hall. A wall in Morgan Hall. Poem. All right? That's my motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion from the board or the audience? Not hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Janet, you did not need to speak anymore, right, after you got this? Okay. Thank you.
Unless you want a quick story about last month, somebody came into the library and asked, what's going on with that parking garage? Thank Kevin, you saw fit to give us a couple of those plans. And I said, well, it's not a parking garage, it is this. They set the record straight. I haven't had that happen for months and months, maybe a year. Reared its ugly head again.
Mr. Adams, anything else for the good of the county?
Oh, gosh, I'd say for the good of the county, I think we need to keep everybody informed that things are progressing pretty well with some of the, I guess you'd say, attractiveness of things. One of them will be a mural that's going to go up in Morgan Hall, and that's been designed.
When my back's out, I had to pose for so long.
And it's going to be there, and it's moving quite well. And we've got a committee that really put it together and designed it. And GD Graphics is going to be, or DG Graphics is going to be putting it up for the grand opening. Here, though, I would add, and since we've got some history ladies here and other people, that we are looking at putting some photographs in down that hall based on, and that progress, or that plan is coming together, but we wanted to get the, first thing we wanted to get accomplished was the mural. So it's going there as well as, and I have to say, I'm so glad to see that water feature. It is, I'm ready to see it kind of bubble. That's what it does. It lets a little water come down. People can go out there and hopefully don't go to sleep, but they could. It'd be so soothing. So it's going to be beautiful. It's real thrilling to see the group of people that are working actively. I can't see how they get all it done with all the rain we've had. Sort of like the farmers are still sitting there with a lot of fields unplanted, but we seem to just keep moving out here, and I don't know how they do it. But I appreciate the work that's being done.
I just want to say what a dedicated crew we've had. Across the street at the museum, I'm there a lot on Saturdays. There's been very few Saturdays that someone's not here working on site. Might be a small crew, but, oh, they've been very dedicated.
Yeah, we're so pleased with the people that we're working with, and they're great, really great. And I'm looking forward to July the 2nd for a grand opening. It's going to be in Morgan Hall because we don't have to worry about the weather, but Morgan Hall is sizable. But it's going to be neat, real neat.
Entertain a motion for adjournment.
Real quick, I'd like to thank the Board of Works for the city of Martinsville to having faith in us. as we finish the Judicial Center behind us. They gave us the blessing to start construction the end of July on the downtown court area. And I would like to encourage everybody to patronize all the restaurants and businesses on the square, especially during their time of need when we do start this construction and disrupt the normal flow of traffic. It will take us a little bit to get it back underway, approximately 4 months, but it is our good intentions and our will to have it all done before the cookie stroll. And as I said to the Board of Works, if it's not done by the cookie stroll, Audrey will probably, that's my wife, be kicking me out. I might have to find some place to stay. So trust me, there's internal pressure to make sure that the construction stays on track to be done for the cookie stroll. But I just, it goes back to working together, different government entities. So when you go and look at the good of the county, it is that we do, amongst our cities, towns, we do work well together when we're willing to work. So thank you. I'll move for adjournment.
Second?
Motion, I'll second the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
All right.
Josh told me it was gonna be a long one.
In the capsule?
Get this out.